How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I had did a video a few short days ago about Stop-And-Frisk, and Michael Bloomberg gives this old weak will apology and now saying that he sympathized with the royal family and the Latino community and has a change of heart about basically essentially Stop-And-Frisk, which we all know is bullshit. So I seen an article this morning that caught my eye, and as usual, my royal family, I do deep research and found out some things that I did not know, and I know some of y'all may know, but I feel like it's my duty and responsibility to put these things out when I learn something new. So I have a few short videos to show, audio, and some things I'm going to read. And I'm not going to read all of this stuff, but all the links will be there. I will read, like I always say, the juicy parts are what's necessary. So it says here in Atlanta Black Star, new video highlights unfortunate pattern of stop-and-frisk by NYPD of young black men. You all do this every day. So the attorney of a black teen allegedly punched and harassed by New York Police Department officers is releasing new video he hopes will show a pattern of illegal stop-and-frisk searches targeting his client. The Legal Aid Society tweeted the video Sunday in an effort to get charges against Destin Burgess, one of two teens showed in the video dropped. And it says here, we are calling on the Bronx DA Clark to dismiss charges pending against Destin Burgess, a LAS client who is frequently subjugated to illegal stop-and-frisk searches by the NYPD, the league organization said in the tweet. And I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and we're going to get deeper into this. And what I'm going to do after I go through everything, I'm going to replay this first video last because it's something I want to point out.
I do this every day, bro. You're not gonna find nothing because we don't do nothing.
Okay. So they just rolled up on our royals and didn't identify themselves or anything, just rolled up on them. So I said, I got to look much deeper into this. So it said here, Thoggle's Neck teen claims to be a victim of repeated stop-and-frisk by NYPD. All right. So let's get into this video and see what's really going on.
Throgs Neck teenager claiming to be the victim of repeated stop-and-frisk by the NYPD. And his attorneys are looking for the case against him to be dismissed. News 12's Kurt Semder has this story.
According to Destin Burgess, what you're seeing here in this video is nothing new for him. The 19-year-old from Throgs Neck stopped and searched by NYPD officers. This taking place this past September, but it's a similar incident a year earlier that has him in court. Shannon Griffin is an attorney at the Legal Aid Society and is representing Burgess.
They came up to him just like they do in the video. They searched him, they found nothing, and then they arrested him saying that he spat in their face, which he denies. They punched him and arrested him for resisting arrest and harassment.
The NYPD has a different account of the incident. They say officers observed a knife fall out of an individual's front pocket. Officers approached the individual, recovered the knife, and the individual was taken into custody. As for the recent video, police tell us the stop was based on an active and ongoing investigation. They say this stop is under review. Griffin says that Burgess had no prior arrests and that their reason for stopping him doesn't hold up.
They have often used the excuse of, oh, he matches the description of someone, or he's under investigation. Well, what prompted it? What 911 call? What witness? They've had more than ample time to tell us this. They haven't.
Burgess has had 8 court appearances in the last year, waiting for this case to start. Griffin wants District Attorney Darcel Clark to dismiss it. Now, we reached out to the DA's office, who responded in a statement saying, in part, the video was given to us by the defense some weeks ago, and we have been looking into it. His case has been delayed in part because he bench warranted for 5 months. Burgess's team confirms their client did miss 1 court appearance early on, but that has nothing to do with the delay, and they seek an end to this process.
He didn't do anything wrong. He wants a straight dismissal, and I think he deserves a straight dismissal.
And if nothing changes, Burgess will be right back here to begin his trial on December 5th.
So, to get the royal family up to speed, okay, our royal son here, Burgess, had an encounter with NYPD, if I can recall, back in September, all right? And this was the first time he's ever had an encounter with NYPD. And they claim that he spit on them and had a knife. And they had to do what they had to do. Okay, they did punch him. Now, knowing the nature of police officers, they would kill you if you spit on them or have a knife, because normally they say they fear for their life. All right? I just want to put that disclaimer out there. So all they doing now is fucking with the kids. So now he's supposed to have a jury trial December 5th. Okay. So now they just fucking with him on GP. So this article right here that I'm looking at, I see is dated November 8th, 2019. Video shows NYPD cops blazingly ignoring stop-and-frisk reforms. I didn't know they had a reform. Oh, we're going to get deeper into this, my royal family. So I'm going to read a bit of this. And I said Throgs Neck. That's the best I can pronounce it. Forgive me, my royal family. I do the best that I can. Ever since a federal judge ruled that the NYPD use of stop and frisk was unconstitutional, the department has been forced to make clear to its officers when and how they can legally conduct a stop, to stop and physically frisk someone, which referred to as a level 3 or Terry stop. And remember Terry, they named this after that brother. An NYPD officer needs reasonable suspicion that someone has recently committed or is about to commit a crime and that they are armed or potentially dangerous. This video, taken in September of 2019, shows a plainclothes NYPD officer pat down 2 young men in the Bronx, seemingly without any justification. So Then they're saying here the entire encounter captured on video by Destin Burgess took around 30 seconds. An unmarked police car pulls up on a group of 3 young men standing outside a NYCHA, I don't know what that is, building in Throggle's Neck, and officer wordlessly exit and begins patting down Burgess' friend before returning to Burgess. That's their focal point, all right? So I'm just setting up the play and everything. Okay, we already seen this. So as I start researching more, I'm going to skip just a bit of this. It said, okay, so under the Right to Know Act, I was like, interesting. Okay, which the city council passed in 2018, NYPD officers conducting level 3 stops are required to identify themselves and explain why they are making the stop and offer the person stopped a business card with the officer's name and shield number on the card. Did we see them do any of that? So I was like, damn. So now they got this thing, the Right to Know Act. I said, I must look deeper. So, so then they have this article here, which is October 19th, 2018, new right to know rules for NYPD stops fall short. Police reform advocates say, hell yes, it does. So, so basically it states in here, starting Friday, let's keep in mind 2018, New York City police officers must inform civilians of their right to refuse a search if an officer has no warrant or lacks reasonable suspicion of a crime. Officers will also be required to hand a business card to civilians who they stop to question, frisk, or search. Okay, so I said I gotta look deeper into this Right to Know Act. So let's jump over here before I play the audio. I'm gonna read a bit to the royal family. So, what is the Right to Know Act? So I'm gonna read this overview. The Right to Know Act, in effect as of October 19th, 2018, is made up of 2 components. The first outlines New York City Police Department NYPD officers' obligation to identify themselves, including by providing their name, rank, command, and shield number to civilians at the beginning of certain interactions. The law also requires officers to have business cards that contain this information. These business cards direct civilians to where they can comment or complain about an encounter with an officer and where they may request and body-worn cam footage of these interactions under the Right to Know Act. Civilians may always ask an officer for their business card, but officers are only required to offer the card in certain circumstances, such as during a frisk, searches of your person, property, vehicle, or home, or at a sobriety checkpoints. The second component of law addresses situations in which officers seek to perform a search and do not have legal justification to do so without a person's consent. In these circumstances, the Right to Know Act requires that officers explain the searches will not be conducted if a person refuses to provide a consent to search. In addition, the law requires officers to document these requests as in required in all encounters, including which seeking consent for a search. Officers are instructed to use language or interpretation services pursuant to the NYPD language access plan prior to the search. This can include the use of bilingual officers and telephonic interpretations. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there. We're gonna get back all into this. So now I want the royal family to listen to this audio. I think it's a little over 3 minutes. Let's see here, we'll get it going.
It's Morning Edition on WNYC. I'm Richard Hake. A new law goes into effect today that's meant to make encounters with police more fair, but WNYC's Cindy Rodriguez says the implementation is making activists skeptical.
The NYPD spent years stopping and frisking mostly black and brown young men in low-income communities. City Councilman Antonio Reynoso was one of them, which is why he sponsored part of the legislation called the Right to Know Act.
What was happening is that officers were telling mostly young men of color to empty out their pockets, for example. As soon as you dig into your pockets, you're voluntarily consenting. A lot of these people didn't know that. And they were getting arrested and have criminal records and charges for things that we now give summonses for.
The new legislation was controversial. It took 4 years to get passed. Starting today, when officers lack a warrant or reasonable suspicion that someone's actually committing a crime, they have to tell people you have a right to refuse a search. Reynoso wants that requirement to become ordinary and routine, like reading someone their Miranda rights.
So we've destroyed the lives of many young men through voluntary consent. That's just not going to happen anymore.
The NYPD says the officers will say something along the lines of, "I can only search you if you consent. Do you understand? May I search you?" But activists say the language the NYPD is using is too weak because it doesn't make it clear that people have a right to refuse a search. And there's another issue. Michael Sosinski from the New York Civil Liberties Union says the law is supposed to include getting consent to search someone's home or vehicle.
That's not what we've seen the NYPD develop so far in their guidance. All the guidance that we've seen so far just relates to street encounters.
A spokeswoman at the NYPD says it may not be explicit in the patrol guidelines, but it should be self-evident to officers. She says if there's systemic issues, the department will make changes. The union that represents police officers fiercely opposed the law. They've said the new requirements could add to the already contentious and combative environment police officers face on the street and result in civilians objecting to every form of police action. And complaining is going to be made easier because in some types of encounters, police will need to hand people a business card with their name and shield number. On the back, the card tells people to call 311 to complain. Jonathan Darch heads the Civilian Complaint Review Board, which will respond.
We've been working closely with the NYPD to make sure we know how they're training their officers so we can hold members of service to the standard to which they've been trained.
And police reform groups say they'll be training communities on how to assert their rights.
I do not consent to this search.
I do not consent to this search.
Am I free to go?
Am I free to go?
Yulsan Lim is from the Justice Committee and says groups like hers will be monitoring the NYPD.
We are putting eyes on the street, and we're here to say to the mayor and to the commissioner, tell your officers to fully implement the Right to Know Act and tell them the streets are watching.
Cindy Rodriguez, WNYC News.
All right, my royal family. So we know that it's all bullshit. So let me go back over here. So basically, what they're trying to also say that when I was reading this, that this Right to Know Act will ultimately build trust with the community that has grown awry of police. Yeah, because they're gonna abuse that, and they're not gonna follow that. So when we seen our royal son over here, they never identified their self or anything. They're just fucking with him, and I could tell by body language. So let's go back over here and let's look at it with this particular video. See if we can get a better shot of everything. All right. And I guess this is a so-called brother too, if that's what you want to call it. Let's check out body language. It was all bullshit and for intimidation.
I do this every day, bro. You're not gonna find nothing because we don't do nothing.
See, what they was pissed off about was that it's this. Let me see here. Let me put this on mute. What they were pissed off about is it's this. See, the reason why they don't mess with any of these white kids because they not sure if one of them, their family might be unquote connected. And they figure our folks don't have sense enough to get a lawyer. And one thing that I've seen about NYPD, they brats. When they can't get their way, they start pissing and moaning. Because remember a while back, they were saying, well, we're not going to be protecting the communities. And the crime rate went way down. They escalate shit. But with this Right to Know Act here, this is another way to engage you. But they want to give you the illusion that that all of these things that I read, that it's going to be executed like that, and you're going to have an adult-to-adult conversation, very calm, if you don't want to be violated, and that the cop just going to gently pull out their little business card and say, okay, cool. That ain't going to happen. They're going to beat your ass. Point blank. You know, and let's not lose sight that they said our royal son had a knife and he spit at the cops. And we have seen our own, well, I didn't see it. Let's put it like this. I read up here in California, one of our own was asleep and they loaded him up with bullets because they feared for their life. So you spit on a cop, they see you with a knife, and you still live to talk about it. These people are full of shit. They just want to have some type of contact with us. And the ultimate goal, when they were doing what they were doing to our royal sons, this is one of these Kodak moments. The ultimate goal when they do what they do is to damage you, to damage your psyche. That's the ultimate goal. Well, the way I was taught by my master teacher, the very thing that a person fear, they project on you. You give it back to them to info. We are in a true war, my royal family. And we need to stay abreast of these bullshit laws that they have and anything that they change. This is our duty and responsibility so we can know what is going on. And this is something that we are dragging, we have in our community have dragged our ass on. Now we are in what you call the information technology, the age of exposure, so we can quickly get up to speed on these things. Like I said, all these links would be here, and please share. Don't never come and ask me, can you share these videos? Please share this stuff so we know what is really going on in the streets of America, because the enemy, their ultimate goal is to continue to harass us and damage us. And the question that I ask the royal family, well, what is our duty and responsibility in this war? I'll leave it right there, my royal family. Render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.